That and, playing against each other. I mean, last time I played him one-on-one, I don't know if this story just came out, but he broke a backboard at our house in Miami. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay. There you go.
LeBron James got suspended for putting his hands on fans who were mocking Bronny. The video is everywhere. The headlines are everywhere. But what actually happened between LeBron and those fans, and why he finally snapped after years of silence, changes everything. The incident that broke the internet. But before we get into what actually went down, you need to understand something first. You need to understand what Bronny James has been living through for the last years. Because without that context, none of this makes sense. And with that context, all of it makes sense. Every single second of it. Bronny James was drafted 2 overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 2030. That pick made him and his father the first father-son duo to share an active NBA roster at the same time in the history of the league. The Lakers called it historic. Jeannie Buss called it magical. LeBron cried on draft night. ESPN ran the footage on repeat for 3 straight days. For about 1 week, the entire basketball world was smiling. Then the box scores started coming in, and the smiles turned into something else entirely. Bronny's production across his first season and into 24 was limited by every metric that exists. He averaged roughly 3 to 4 points per game, with low single-digit scoring. His three-point shooting dipped below 20% in multiple stretches. He received frequent G League assignments to the South Bay Lakers for development and accumulated DNPs on the box scores like receipts for a purchase nobody wanted to make. And every single number was collected, compiled, and distributed to millions of people who had already made up their minds about him before he ever touched the court. Reddit threads called him trash. Posts on X labeled him the biggest Nepo baby in NBA history when his Summer League airballs went viral. Fans said he was making a mockery of the NBA. When preseason delivered a 4 shooting night, the phrase "still garbage" trended on social media for hours. Not hours, for a kid who had not even played a full NBA season yet. But the anonymous accounts were just the opening act. The real damage came from people with names, credentials, and audiences in the millions. Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics was caught on camera during Summer League telling people around him, "I don't think Bronny is a pro." The comment was captured by a nearby microphone and became a national headline within an hour. LeBron referenced it in interviews as late as February, more than a year and a half later, proving the remark was still sitting in his chest like something a school kid, a young fan threw debris at him during a Hoople Classic game while he was inbounding the ball. LeBron, sitting in the stands at his son's high school game, posted the video afterward with the caption, "Hating has no age limit," and called the incident disrespectful. The game was briefly stopped. Nobody was punished, and the next game, the next fan, the next piece of trash thrown from the stands was just a matter of time. Then came November. LeBron had just served his "The Real Story" happened on national television in front of millions of people with cameras capturing every second. And it did not involve random fans. It involved the most powerful voice in sports media. The night LeBron crossed the court. If one person became the face of the Bronny James criticism more than any other, it was Stephen A. Smith. Not because he was the cruelest, others said far worse things, but because he was the loudest, the most visible, and the most relentless, and because his criticism did not stay on the television screen, it followed LeBron into the arena. Smith had been building his argument for months before the confrontation. He said repeatedly that he warned LeBron before the draft not to put Bronny under the kind of pressure that comes with being marketed as your father's teammate. He pointed out that LeBron was the one who told the world Bronny was better than some of the NBA players right now, while Bronny was still in high school. He reminded his audience that LeBron was the one who publicly said, "Draft him, I'll play anywhere he's at, it ain't even about the money." And Smith's central argument was that by making all of those declarations publicly, LeBron had painted a target on his son's back that no 30th overall pick should ever have to carry. Smith delivered his sharpest critique on first take, using a phrase that would change everything. He prefaced his comments by saying, "as a dad," because LeBron had marketed himself as a father guiding his son into the league, so Smith addressed him as a father. And that framing detonated a bomb that nobody could put back together. The confrontation happened during a nationally televised Lakers game. Smith was not in the media section. He was sitting courtside as a guest of Ari Emanuel, the founder of William Morris Endeavor, who had seats directly next to the Lakers bench. Larry David, the star of Curb Your Enthusiasm, was sitting with them. The arena was packed, the cameras were covering every square foot of the building, and the timing made it even more explosive because Smith had just publicly announced his new ESPN contract that very day, meaning every sports reporter in the country already had his name in their notes. This was in the third quarter. Apparently, LeBron had walked out of the timeout, and I turn around and he's right here in my face. LeBron walked out of a third-quarter timeout and went straight to Smith. Not after the game, not through an agent, not through a phone call. He walked across the floor during a live NBA broadcast and put himself face-to-face with the man who had been talking about his son on national television every single morning. He said, "Yo, you gotta stop talking about my son. You gotta stop with my son. That's my son. That's my son." Smith said he tried to de-escalate. He asked if they could talk after the game. LeBron had no interest in waiting, and I was like, "What?"
Smith felt the anger was aimed at the wrong person, but LeBron did not see it that way. On the Pat McAfee show, LeBron fired back and made it personal. "You would not have to talk about that. Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you can address it, is your..." LeBron accused Smith of playing both sides, claiming he did not want to discuss it, then running to every camera and microphone in the country the second the footage went viral. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize. LeBron said he understood the game. He understood that analysts are paid to critique players. He understood that comes with being in the NBA, but he drew a line, and that line was his family. That's all part of the game, but when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players. That was the message. Not that you cannot criticize Bronny's game, but that when the criticism becomes personal, when it stops being about basketball and starts being about a father's choices and a son's worthiness as a human being, a line has been crossed. And LeBron James was not going to stand on the other side of that line quietly. Meanwhile, through all of this noise, Bronny was starting to do something nobody expected. He was fighting back. Not with words aimed at Stephen A. Smith or Kwame Brown or the Reddit comment sections. He was fighting back on the court and in the arenas in the moments where it mattered most. During a game against the Nuggets, a fan was heckling Bronny relentlessly from the stands, shouting, pointing, doing everything possible to get under his skin. Bronny looked at the man, looked at the oversized chain hanging around his neck, and said 4 words that shut down an entire section of the arena. For lip readers, let me point out, Bronny told the heckler, "Your chain fake." For reference, here is a photo of the Bronny heckler and his chain. The reaction from former players was immediate. "We can see more of this, man. Yeah, I want to see more. I want to see more of Bronny talking." For the first time in his young career, Bronny showed the world something other than quiet endurance. He showed personality. He showed that the noise was not destroying him, and he showed that he did not need his father to fight every battle for him. But the question still remained, if LeBron would confront the biggest name in sports media on live television over words, what would he do to anonymous fans in an arena? What would it take to push him past words and into action? And did it finally happen? The truth behind the suspension. Now we get to the part that everybody came here for, the alleged suspension. The claim that LeBron James physically attacked fans in an arena and that the NBA handed down a suspension for it. Here's the truth. It did not happen. No credible evidence from NBA.com, ESPN, mainstream sports outlets, official league announcements, or reliable reporting supports this claim as of April. There is no box score showing LeBron was ejected from making contact with fans. There is no disciplinary filing from the league office. There is no statement from the Los Angeles Lakers organization. There is no video from any arena camera, broadcast feed, or fan's phone showing LeBron James laying hands on anybody in any stands at any game this season or any season. Official NBA suspension records confirm that LeBron's last on-court suspension was the 1-game ban in November for the flagrant 2 elbow to Isaiah Stewart's face. That is the entirety of his suspension history across professional seasons. LeBron missed early games because of sciatica, a nerve injury, not a disciplinary action. And X keyword searches for the specific claim returned 0 relevant posts, which means that even in the wildest corners of the internet, nobody with any credibility ran with this story. So where did the claim come from? The same place it always comes from. Clickbait YouTube channels that recycle Bronny LeBron suspended templates because the algorithm pays them to do it. Titles like Bronny James suspended after attacking Rockets coach, and NBA suspends Bronny after failed drug test, and LeBron attacks fans mocking Bronny appear constantly. The creators of these videos know the headline is false. They say so in the content itself, but by the time you click, they already have your view, and the algorithm already has another data point telling it that this kind of content works. LeBron's career disciplinary record is remarkably clean for a superstar of his longevity. Beyond the Stewart incident and the $25 fine for the obscene gesture, he has faced almost no league discipline in over 2 decades.
He has been ejected only a handful of times. His approach to fans who cross boundaries is consistently measured. He called a heckler during a Denver playoff game scary, but never touched the man. When fans touched him courtside on separate occasions, he expressed frustration but walked away. NBA rules strictly prohibit player-fan physical contact, and violations result in immediate ejection, league review, and suspensions. If LeBron had attacked a fan, it would be the biggest story in the history of the NBA. It would not be a rumor on a YouTube channel with a red circle on the thumbnail. It would be on the front page of every newspaper in America. But the reason the fake story spread so fast is because the real story is so raw. LeBron James has spent 2 years watching his son absorb a level of public hatred that no 47th pick in the history of the draft has ever experienced. He has watched fans wish death on his child. He has watched media personalities turn his son into a punchline. He has watched other NBA players dismiss Bronny on camera. He has watched coaches use his son's name as a competitive insult from the sideline, and every single time he has responded with words, not violence. He confronted Stephen A. Smith with his voice, not his fists. He reported the Pacers fans to officials instead of going into the stands. He posted video of the hoople debris thrower instead of confronting a teenager. He has used the system, imperfect as it is, instead of breaking it. And through all of this, the part of the story that nobody wants to give airtime to is the part where Bronny is actually getting better, because that part does not generate clicks. That part does not fit the narrative. That part requires you to pay attention to something other than outrage. LeBron spoke about his son's development on the Pat McAfee show, and his voice changed when he talked about it. The bravado dropped. The media savvy disappeared. What was left was just a father talking about his kids. Listen, for me as a dad, it doesn't matter if he never scores ever. For me as a dad, I'm just super proud of him, period. As a young man, it does not matter if Bronny never scores another point. That is what LeBron said. Not as a basketball player, as a father who almost lost his son to a cardiac arrest 2 years ago and is watching him play professional basketball against every odd imaginable. I am super proud of his development to where he is now, from the moment that, he was drafted in June. Of LeBron's friend who survived his own cardiac arrest told him the recovery takes years. That friend was when his heart stopped. Bronny was, and he told me, he was like, man, I'ma be honest, it took me about years to finally get back to just normally. Less than 2 years out from a medical event that could have killed him, Bronny scored 18 points in a G League game. And when he called his father afterward, he was not celebrating. He was annoyed because he missed a free throw that would have given him, and more than anything, when I talked to him, he was more pissed off at the technical free throw that he missed more than anything. He's like, I could have had a... That is the real story. Not a fake suspension, not a fabricated attack. A young man who had his heart stop beating at 18 years old got drafted into the most visible roster in the world, absorbed 2 years of public cruelty that would have broken most adults, and responded by putting up 18 points and being mad about the one free throw he missed. And his father, the man the internet keeps trying to turn into a villain, responded to all of it the same way every single time. He used his words. He used the system. He protected his son within the lines, and he never, not once, crossed them.
During a March win over the Brooklyn Nets, LeBron threw an assist to Bronny for a three-pointer, marking the first father-to-son assist in NBA history.